promover que las noticias no sean falsas. La diferencia es que Caroline no es judía, Caroline es una amiga y es lo que necesitamos en esos momentos. Caroline toda su vida ha hecho activismo, es feminista, es CEO de Pizza Girl, que es pizza orgánica para mamás millennials. También es modelo, DJ, y ella siempre ha luchado contra el bullying. Cuando empezó el 7 de octubre se dio cuenta que había mucha injusticia, que no se podía decir un duelo con algún amigo que murió en el concierto Nova. Entonces se dio cuenta que ella iba a defender, así como lo ha hecho con todos los demás grupos, también quería defender al pueblo judío. Karen, thank you.
Did that work? Yay. Hi guys, while I don't know everything she just said about me, I did hear DJ and that's my past. That was a long time ago. So I won't be like whipping it out up here, like going crazy, I'm sorry. But this is gonna be a very different conversation than all the conversations you've heard so far. I think mainly because I'm not Jewish. So I definitely come from a totally different background and emotional standpoint with this entire thing. For me, I didn't even know anti-Semitism was much more than an understandable passed down PTSD from, Holocaust survivors and people who did experience it. To me, I thought that was something that happened back then and would never happen now. Just didn't make sense to me. But I'm going to give you a little bit of my personal background, just so that we can figure out together how I ended up on this stage. Okay. Actually, Yael and Johnny asked me a question, I think the first night we were here. And it was a question that one of the Holocaust survivors you guys know very well brought up to you, which was, at what age did you grow up? And I was like, wow, it's kind of weird to say that the age that I was when I grew up was 5 years old. When I was 5 years old, I lost my mom. At that age, I wrote a little bit of this down, by the way, because I just start crying. I'm a very emotional person. I don't know if you guys follow me, but you can tell by my Instagram that I also have ADD, so I'm just all over the place. Okay, here we go. At 5 years old, I really only knew the pain of her absence. I didn't understand, why she was gone. She felt like she was hidden from me, and I used to have this, fantasy that she was hidden upstairs in the attic. But the truth was that my mom had died from the AIDS virus. My family kept this truth from me, not out of malice, but out of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of stigma, and fear of what it meant to be part of a world that wasn't ready to carry this shame or misunderstanding for a disease we didn't fully understand. So I grew up in silence, carrying a loss that I just could not comprehend. It wasn't until later in life that I learned the truth about my mom's death. And when I did, I had a choice to make. I could either let it break me, or I could deepen my resentment. Or I could use it as fuel. I could use it as fuel to do something great, to do something better. So I chose to stand up. My sisters and I, we started walking in the AIDS walks in West Hollywood. We started raising awareness and using my voice for the first time. The voice that had once been silenced in my own life. When my family members reached out and they were like, why are you doing this? They asked me not to share things. And I said, how can we hide from these things? Hiding is what creates stigma. Hiding from the truth is what creates a narrative. that isn't correct, you always have to accept the truth in order to heal from it. Something I didn't know for a very long time. I was a child that ran from my truth for a very long time. That moment in my life was a turning point, and not just in understanding my mother's story, but in understanding my own story of strength. It taught me that healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about finding our unity in pain and transforming our grief into our purpose. Today I want to share my journey with you, a journey of loss, but resilience and ultimately unity. Because no matter what struggles we face, whether it's personal loss, betrayal, or adversity, we have the power to turn our pain into something deeply meaningful. And when we do it together, we don't just heal ourselves, we create this ripple effect you've been hearing about all day long. I know it sounds crazy, but one person at a time, we can affect and change the entire world. I do believe that. I am an optimistic, a very optimistic person. The fact that I'm actually standing right here, right now, not being a speaker, not being a doctor, not being anything more than a pizza girl. I grew up as a pizza kid, wearing shirts that said pizza kid, and now I'm a mom and I own a pizza shop. Like, why the heck am I standing here? But we'll get into that. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for being here today, for having me. Thank you so much. Seriously, this means the world to me. Being in a room like this, it's just an example of that one person can create so much unity. I'm here because I've learned the hard way that our greatest power often comes from the places we try to hide from. For a long time, I ran from my wounds. I buried my pain. I ignored my faults, and I tried to convince myself that if I just keep moving forward, I could outrun all the things that hurt me most. Just keep going, it's okay, it won't catch up to me. But life doesn't work that way. The truth will always find you. And when it did, I had a choice. Keep pretending, keep faking who I am, or just carry the weight of who I really am, face it head on. So eventually I chose to look at my wounds and stop hiding from the pain and the mistakes. And instead of letting it define me, I found a way to turn it into my superpower. That's what I want to talk to you guys about today, how we can transform our struggles and strength into how we can turn every part of our story into unity and rise above it together. Okay, let's get into it. For a long time, I thought healing meant getting over things and moving on and never looking back. But I've learned that true healing happens when we stop running. We are all here, and we are all proof that we are survivors, and that every scar, every heartbreak, every challenge we have faced carries a lesson. And when we stop seeing our pain as something to hide from and we start embracing it, that is the power. That is the resilience. Resilience isn't just about pushing through, it's about transforming. It's about talking about the things that tried to break us, which was really hard for me to do for a very long time. We don't have to do it alone, we can come together. When we share our stories, we lift each other up and we create a safe space for other people. I had no idea that my stories about my own traumas would help other people share the same stories and feel more brave and feel like they could do it too. I'll never forget the moment when I found out the truth about how my mother died. I'm going to try not to cry. It didn't come from a family member, unfortunately. It didn't come in a way that allowed me to process it with love and understanding. It came from a girl I knew in the LA scene, a girl who was dating a guy that I had dated. And out of jealousy and maybe a little bit of cruelty, or maybe just genuine fear and ignorance, which we've all dealt with, she decided to drop the news in the most horrific of ways. She looked at me in the eye and said, have AIDS and I'm scared you gave it to me. Yeah. I had no idea what she was freaking talking about. My mom passed away when I was 5 years old, and for my entire life, I thought it was from something else. No one had ever told me otherwise, but somehow this story had somehow been spread through my community. My mother's death, a tragedy I never fully understood, was out there for the world to hear before me, before I even had a chance to understand it myself. I was terrified. You guys, she dragged me to the doctor and I got an AIDS test. I was so scared. I remember sitting there numb and furious at my family. I immediately called my dad, desperate for answers. That's when he finally told me the truth. He said, yes, your mother died from AIDS, and the reason he never told us, this moment right here. This exact type of cruelty was one of the reasons he had feared being honest. In that moment, I could have let the fear absolutely consume me, the anger absolutely take over me. I could have resented him and the world, and used this moment as an excuse to close myself off. But after I was done grieving that, and my entire adolescence, I had a choice. My sisters and I, we decided that we would not let this pain define us. We would own it. We would embrace it. We made these shirts with my mom's face on them. And we joined each other, arm in arm, and we started walking in the AIDS walks in West Hollywood. And we were really proud in that moment. We were honoring my mother. But crazy enough, that was also the first time I witnessed hate on a level I never thought was possible. The AIDS epidemic, the AIDS virus, heavily affects the gay community. And when we were walking in West Hollywood, I remember looking up and seeing people on the sidelines with these posters and even children with their parents with posters saying that you're going to go to hell. And I now realize that that was towards the gay community. And when I saw that child holding up that sign, I realized that's because of the example that, obviously, that they are being taught. Their parents are teaching them hate. I was so blown away by this, you guys. I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it was real. These people are suffering. These people are struggling. And you thought it was a good idea to spend your Saturday attacking these people, teaching your children to go attack these people who are suffering with an incurable, at the time, disease that took my mother away from me. I've been asked over and over again to look through my life and try to figure out why I'm standing up for the Jewish community and against anti-Semitism. And it's interesting. I was a horrible student. I'm actually a high school dropout. Thank you very much. But the only two subjects I remember learning about in school was the subject of a little girl named Anne Frank and the subject of slavery. And I remember thinking to myself what I would have done in that moment. What I would have done if I was alive back then. That was all I could think about. And I recently did a post on social media where I said, hey guys, if you ever wondered what you would have done during the Holocaust, you're doing it right now. What you're doing right now is what you would have done then. Every single one of you has a voice. Every single one of you has it in you to do something amazing and to help somebody, even if it's just your neighbor. Even if it's just one person who is struggling, you stand up for them. I'm now teaching my daughter, if you see someone being bullied on the playground, it is your job to go up and defend them. You do not stand on the sidelines while other people are being attacked and abused. That is not how we do things in this family. I remember my first speech being asked to speak on this subject. I flew to Canada, Vancouver it was. Sorry, my husband always knows everything. He knows every detail. I flew to Vancouver and I brought my daughter. I felt safe to bring her. She's now 9 years old. And two incredible things happened in that trip. One was from the hotel room. That was the first time we had ever seen a huge Palestinian protest, and the first time in person, my incredible love of my life, my Israeli newly husband, saw somebody walking down the street right in front of our faces with a swastika on the poster. You know, you see it on social media and you're like, okay, that's over there. But when you see it in person for the first time, it's really... And then when I saw his pain, and then my little daughter saw his pain, she went and she wrote, she has a journal. And she went and she wrote her journal, and she wrote in her journal, and she wrote him a message, and she said, you know, don't worry, Omer, like, you know, and that was just from seeing his pain. She wrote, don't worry, you know, Israel will win. It was the cutest thing ever. And then I go and I do my speech, and I'm standing up there, and they ask me in the Q&A, they said, why are you doing this? You know, you're not even Jewish, you don't know anything about the history, you know, you're just this mom, why are you doing all of this? And I looked over at my daughter, and I said, that is why I am doing this. It was a very emotional moment. She came running up to me and gave me the biggest hug in front of everybody. And I kid you not, you guys, that evening, in our hotel room, she comes up to me and she goes, Mommy, I wrote a speech. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, I wrote a speech, can I read it to you? And I was like, yes, it's actually on my social media. I don't remember it word for word, but the gist was this. It was loving your neighbor. It was being brave. It was everything I would ever want to instill in my child. And I realized in that moment that we lead by example. We are the example of what our children and our children's children are going to have instilled in them. So please do not lose faith. So many questions here about, just about like, we are overshadowed by this big dark cloud. We are not. I am an example. The fact that I am just the freaking pizza girl, you guys, and I did one post in my backyard with wet hair, looking like shit. Are there kids here? I'm sorry. I'm so bad. My post was basically just stop being cruel to Jewish people. Pretty simple message, right? I put my phone away. I go to a concert, think my life's going to go back to normal. I look at my phone later. I'm like, oh no. Why is there 50,000 views on my post? This is really making me uncomfortable. Like, what did I do? Like, I literally thought the entire world would have the same sentiment. Don't be assholes to Jewish people. Simple. And then, within 48 hours, my post had about 6 million views. And there was like 2 days, and I was like, oh boy, like, what does that mean? And I really had to evaluate, like, what does that mean? And of course, I got this giant influx of hate mail, which I was not prepared for. But I'll tell you something. I very quickly learned to look through the crap, look through the hate mail. And guess what I saw? I saw moms. I'm gonna cry. So many moms reaching out to me. This always gets me. Reaching out to me and saying thank you. Thank you so much for speaking up for me and my family. And you guys, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I feel like it's my mom. Like, I feel like all the moms that are now supporting me, giving me the love that I've never had. This is what I was meant to do. And if you are born with the strength to stand up on this stage, you better freaking do it. the influx of hate, because the hate didn't matter anymore. It was just, there was so much love, you guys. The fact that like the little pizza girl just recently was sitting in the president of Israel's home, you know, that's freaking weird. One of my first trips to Israel, I've been now 3 times since October 7th. And one of my first trips, I'm like sitting in the Israeli war room, people are looking at me like, help us. I'm like, me? Like, what can I do? And I realized it's just my voice. That's all I have to give. And I'm gonna give it with all my heart and soul. Because it means more to me than anything in the whole world. We have such a short blip of existence here on this earth. And people keep asking me like how I do this and how I keep going about it. And I'm just like, this is a gift to me. This has been a gift. This has given me purpose like no other. The fact that I have friends all over the freaking world now because I stand up for what's right and what I feel in my heart, and against all forms of hate, that is beautiful. That is everything. I could die tomorrow, and I want to make sure that my children respect the life that I have here. I've already outlived my mother. And you know what? I finally know that she's proud of me. I had a few years that were very questionable. Yeah, it makes me emotional because it always goes to the mom part, and then I'm just like, I lost there's no structure here. Remember the ADD. So basically, all I'm going to say is, my voice has taken me all over the world. It has been the most special thing I've ever done in my entire life. It will be the thing that I am remembered for and am grateful for on my dying day. Because I was strong. Because I taught my daughter to be strong. Because the amount of people I've been able to inspire who reach out to me daily and say, I'm speaking up because I saw you do it, has been nothing short of a miracle. There was a big patch of time in my life where I didn't know if my life even mattered. I didn't think anybody cared about me, and I was just, live fast, die young mentality. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you. I am so grateful for my greater purpose. I'm still just a pizza girl, by the way. I literally have to go back home because I'm opening my second pizza shop. Thank you very much, pizza girl. So something pretty cool is people who don't speak up. Some of the reasons that they don't speak up is because they're scared that their business is going to fail, or that they're going to lose followers. By the way, my following has doubled since I spoke out. My business has not suffered one bit, and I've actually had some really big, powerful people give me a call here and there and say, there's so many people in the world, there really are. Like, I know we feel like this is the only thing going on in the world, but there's so many people in the world, and there's so many people on our side. I don't think you guys realize this, because their voices are very loud, but the majority of people that I have come across are on our side. They don't want to be, in the streets screaming this horrific stuff. They see it. They're not like us standing up on stage battling it every day. But the majority of people that I have come across are on our side. So please know that. Know that in your heart. It's the truth. Like I said, I've traveled the world and I think I only got one middle finger in Canada. Not bad, you know? Everywhere I go, you guys, I get hugged. This is weird. I go, anywhere I go, in the whole world, I get a hug. A teary mom hug. And now I have all the moms that I never had. So all I really want to say is there's no voice too small. There's literally nothing you can do that's too small. It's crazy. It's crazy that I'm standing here right now. Every single one of you matters. Every single one of you can do something super powerful and not even know that that's what it is. We all have the strength. We all can do it. I'm not going to ramble on too long anymore. I'm going to let you guys ask me some crazy questions. Don't worry, I'm down to answer all of them. I love you all and thank you so much for having me.
I just want to say from all of us, you have no idea what it means for you to be standing here with us. You represent everything that our friends didn't do for us. And you gave me the strength to keep going and to use my voice. So you made me cry a lot also. So thank you for this talk. Thank you all for being here. And solo quiero decir algo. I just want to say something about what you said. This event is for everyone and about everyone, but I can't believe how much this all has healed me. So thank you. Thank you so much.
¿Alguno de ustedes tiene alguna pregunta?
Well, is that my first question? Where's the pizza place? Soon, Mexico City.
Okay, I got one. Hey, it's actually fun. Okay, no, as